For many of us, a new year can feel like a new start, a reset on the things we can control. And while that's true for some things, the hard fact is many of the problems that existed in 2024 will most likely remain as we start another trip around the sun. That's particularly true for our national defense, especially as each branch of the DoD works to modernize its forces. During the AFA Airspace and Cyber Conference last fall, the commanders of NORAD, U.S. Cyber Command, U.S. Space Command, and U.S. Transportation Command gathered to talk about some of the dangers we currently face. And that's the subject of this week's Debrief. As 2025 begins, America's national defense faces an array of evolving threats, from rising tensions with China and Russia to the challenges posed by non-state actors. There's no shortage of problems. As the commander of NORAD, General Greg Gayo, explains, these once regional threats are now global concerns.
What we face today is a variety of threats in all domains from multiple adversaries and from all avenues of approach, not just from the north. And these threats can threaten us from much further away than, even just a couple of years ago.
It's that kind of reach that has the attention of former U.S. transportation boss, the newly retired General Jackie Van Ovost, who cites cyber vulnerabilities both home and abroad.
What we're talking about is winning without fighting. Sound familiar? They're doing that every day. And then finally, we talk about the long-range threat. The long-range threat to mobility missions specifically designed to touch us. And these are the risks we see playing out today on an active basis around the globe.
As far as who stands as America's biggest threats across all spectrums, the panel was very pointed in their assessment of the People's Republic of China. Not only is the PRC heavily invested in a military buildup, they are intensely focused on cyber warfare. General Timothy Haw is the commander of U.S. Cyber Command. He says the PRC is conducting a multi-pronged offensive.
We want to expose this threat. First is where PRC has been targeting the intellectual property of our industry, which is really the foundation of our economy and the underpinnings of our department's security. Also, how they look at over time, the critical infrastructure of the United States. We've exposed how they target our critical infrastructure and what that means for us as a nation, that we have a competitor that is willing to use those type of tactics to target not only the department, but our citizens.
And those are just the threats here on terra firma. As U.S. Space Command's top boss, General Stephen Whiting, explains, the U.S. is also working to defend the nation from threats that may not necessarily be land-based, as both China and Russia continue to work on ways to disrupt America's space-based communication system. And they aren't stopping there.
The PRC in particular has gone to space for the same advantages that we have, not because it's cool. I mean, it is, but that is not why they've gone to space. It's to give themselves the ability to operate on ocean-wide, on continental-wide, on global scales. And so they have gone to space to enable their Air Force, their Army, their Navy, their Marine Corps to be more precise, more lethal, and more far-ranging. And we've got to deal with that fact to make sure that we help protect the joint force from the space-enabled attack of others.
Another area of growing concern for U.S. military leadership, the Arctic. Russia and China are working together like they never have before, and that demands America's attention. In fact, the two adversaries even exercised together in the Bering Strait in the summer of 2023.
But it shows on a daily basis that the Arctic is an area where a number of nations are showing interest, not only for military purposes, but also for scientific purposes. And it takes up 52% of our AOR, so we spend a lot of time looking at that. How we're adapting to that is pursuing sensors that go from sea floor all the way up to space in multiple layers and domains to make sure that we can detect all of those adversaries, not at the ranges that we did 5-10 years ago, but much further away because of the increased complexity and capability of their weapons.
a capability that the generals pointed out will only continue to grow. And while those charged with defending the U.S. may not have all the answers they're looking for yet, they do say they think they're on the right track. And they acknowledge prioritizing investments in secure communications and accelerating the adoption of artificial intelligence within U.S. Cyber Command and its components will enhance both cybersecurity and their ability to respond to AI-enabled cyber attacks.